Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Scott Sports 101. We've got a lot to cover today. We've got Browns news, some NFL news, which is also Browns news. We've got Cavs, some breaking news, Ohio State and the Cleveland Indians. We'll get to all that. But first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. In 2015, which NBA player broke the record for most points scored in a quarter? I'll have the answer later in the podcast. Well, this is a story that broke a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to touch base with it. Former Browns head coach Marty Schottenheimer passed away a couple of weeks ago at age 77 after a 3-year battle with Alzheimer's disease, according to ESPN. Schottenheimer was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2014, and he was moved to a hospice facility, near his home in Charlotte, North Carolina on January 30th. Schottenheimer is survived by his wife of 54 years, Pat, his children, Kristen and Brian, and his grandchildren, Brandon, Sutton, Savannah, and Catherine. The Cleveland Browns issued the following statement on Schottenheimer's passing. The Browns are saddened to learn the passing of Marty Schottenheimer as a head coach. He led the organization to 4 playoff appearances and 3 divisional titles, but it was his tough, hard-nosed, never give up the fight attitude the team embodied that endeared him to Browns fans and often led to thrilling victories. His impact on the game of football was not only left in Northeast Ohio but across the entire NFL. Our thoughts and prayers are with his wife Pat and his entire family, and my thoughts and prayers as well go out to his wife Pat, his children and grandchildren, and the entire Schottenheimer family. My thoughts and prayers are with you during this difficult time. A life of football. Born in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania in 1943, Schottenheimer lived and breathed football, playing linebacker through high school and into college and at the University of Pittsburgh. He was selected in the 4th round of the AFL draft by the Buffalo Bills, opting to play for Buffalo. After spending 4 years on the Bills and earning an AFL championship, Schottenheimer played 2 seasons with the Boston Patriots before bouncing from the Pittsburgh Steelers to then the Baltimore Colts, and then retiring in 1971. While he enjoyed several years as a professional football player, Schottenheimer made a name for himself several years later as a coach. And now here's his unforgettable coaching legacy. Schottenheimer started his coaching career before his time as the Browns head coach, serving as the linebackers coach for the New York Giants in 1975 and 1976. The offensive coordinator for the Giants in 1977, and the linebackers coach for the Detroit Lions in 1978 and 79. He was hired as the Browns defensive coordinator in 1980. His break as a head coach came with the Browns in 1984 when he replaced Sam Rutigliano. And he got his first full season as a head coach in 1985 that year. Schottenheimer and quarterback Bernie Kosar, who had just been selected in the 1985 supplemental draft, began an era of success in Cleveland that surpassed even the Cardiac Kids era that fans had rabbled around. While Schottenheimer and his Browns never reached the Super Bowl, he helped make the Browns team a perennial playoff contender during his tenure. In that time, Schottenheimer held a 44-27 record, a 620 winning percentage, a 620 winning percentage, and made 4 playoff appearances. The Browns under Schottenheimer won 3 AFC Central Division titles, and after the 1988 season, Art Modell meddled with the successful coach, and it was not the first time, causing a rift that could not be reconciled, and Schottenheimer walked away from the Browns. After winning 3 AFC Central Division titles and making 3 appearances in the AFC Championship game, Schottenheimer went on the following season to become the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, where he would spend 10 years amassing a 101-58-1 regular season record and making 7 playoff appearances with 3 divisional titles. Despite the regular season success, Schottenheimer and the Chiefs never made it to the Super Bowl, and he resigned as their head coach after the 1998 season. After spending time as an analyst for ESPN, Schottenheimer re-sparked his head coaching career, taking the position with Washington for a season before being fired by owner Daniel Snyder in an unpopular move. Schottenheimer wrapped up his NFL coaching career days with the San Diego Chargers, spending 5 years with the team before being fired in 2007 after a discord erupted within the organization. And the Chargers are now known as the LA Chargers, as you know. In his years as an NFL head coach, Schottenheimer developed a coaching strategy referred to as Marty Ball, or run, pass punt. It worked well for him throughout his coaching years during the regular season, but never paid off in the playoffs. Schottenheimer's 205 wins are the most of any head coach not to reach or win an NFL championship. But despite never winning at all, Schottenheimer's legacy is truly unforgettable, and his coaching tree continues to have an impact in the league to this day, which names such as Bruce Arians, Mike McCarthy, Bill Cowher, Tony Dungy, former Browns coach Hugh Jackson, Mike Tomlin, Jim Caldwell, Doug Marrone, Todd Bowles, and Leslie Frazier, all tracing back to him. Kosar reminisces former Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar knew for some time this news was coming, but learning of the death of Schottenheimer still came as a blow. Remembering Marty as somebody you absolutely love and cherish, and I can't thank him enough, for the structure and discipline and the belief he had in me, Kosar said. Schottenheimer's first full year as a head coach in 1985 was Kosar's first as starting quarterback. Together they would turn a team that started 1-7 the year before and turn it into a franchise that would go to 2 straight conference championships, Kosar said. Schottenheimer, a former player himself, brought toughness, gritness, and discipline to the job, and also attention to detail that made players look forward to Sunday. Practices were actually harder than the games. The two-a-days, the three-a-day practices. The amount of contact that you went through for practice actually made Sunday not as tough going against the other teams, he said. Probably shortened a lot of players' careers, but in the short run of playing our teams, we're tough and disciplined. And every Sunday we knew we were ready to play. Then he did it again with the Chiefs. For him to put the structure organization together for two organizations that weren't winning football games and winning playoff games before he got there, to put those two teams and those two organizations together within a decade to get to multiple AFC Conference Championship games is absolutely not an easy feat to do, Kosar said. Schottenheimer was in the early stages of Alzheimer's in 2016 when he returned to Cleveland to be honored with his 1986 team. It's a disease that, in his final days, robbed him, Kosar says, of truly appreciating this year's playoff showdown between two of his most successful franchises. It's really a shame that a man who's had such a massive influence on so many of us isn't able to understand and really know the magnitude of Browns-Chiefs game where he has such a major influence, Kosar said. In life, fate kept Schottenheimer from the game's biggest stage, but Kosar is hoping in death he can still achieve the game's biggest honor, a football journey that started in Cleveland, ending just down the road in Canton. When you talk about the history and the tradition of the Cleveland Browns and going back to the great Paul Brown and Otto Graham, and to have Marty Schottenheimer mentioned in the same breath in that type of organization is absolutely confirming to our previous statement of his earning the right to have a house in Canton, the Hall of Fame, Kosar said. Bernie Kosar on Twitter said, Coach Marty, thank you for all you've done and meant in mine and so many of our lives. You will greatly be missed for the love of the game, and you matter. And he will, Marty Schottenheimer, will definitely be missed. We have got some NFL news right now, which is some Browns news. NFL Coach of the Year Kevin Stefanski just might find himself with a three-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year in J.J. Watt on his roster this season. And the Browns are still in the hunt for that. Released by the Texans on Friday a couple of weeks ago, Watt is seriously considering the Browns as one of his options because they have a lot of what he wants, sources tell Cleveland.com. The two biggest things, money and a potential Super Bowl. What's more, they have a strong supporting cast and a positive environment. Check, 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 and check. Coming off a 4-12 season, Watt wants to play for a Super Bowl contender, and the Browns check off that all-important box. They made it into the final 8 last season, losing to the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs 22-17 in the AFC divisional round. I'm running out of time right now, so I'm going to continue. This will be a 2-part podcast, and I will continue with the Watt story right after I upload this to my YouTube channel. So I'll be back with more right after this. Stay with us.